When I'm driving home to see her, I'm so damn happy.
That's cool.
When I wake up in the morning and look over her, I'm so happy. When I have clients that come into my gym and are there to work with me, I'm happy. When I go for a walk in the woods, I'm happy. I am happy about the decisions I've made in my life that led me to this point. I think that I am going to grow even more. I'm not afraid of death. I believe that the work that I've done in my life to this point, if I were to die tomorrow, I think there's going to be a lot of people at my funeral that are going to say nice things about me. And I think some of those people will miss me, And so I'm happy that I get up every morning, I breathe, I think, I learn. I know it sounds like kind of polyamorous, but it's the simplest thing.
You ever look at your resume and feel like maybe I could have done more? Well, if that's the case, just tune me out for a second while I brag about a man called Coach Q, Quentin Pullen. He is vice president of the NAACP chapter in Fayetteville, Georgia. He's a mentor in high school. He holds a degree in electronics engineering, another in physical therapy. He is a Marine, a personal trainer, fitness coach, lifestyle coach who runs his own wellness facility on 5 acres. He's an activist, and currently he is running a very vigorous race to represent the 68th district in Georgia. Now, there's more, but this episode is only so long, right? Now, all of this is true about Coach Q, but when I sat down to speak with him, it wasn't about his political aspirations. It wasn't about his accolades. And you'll hear it for yourself. I promise you, his only focus is leaving this world better than he found it. It's not every day you meet a man who's interested in serving others. There's a lot to learn from this interview. We discuss what it is to be a man, what it means to be present and giving your all to the one you're with in that moment. Don't forget to copy the link to this episode and just text it to one person. Welcome to Manhood Matters. Let's get to it. Followed you on Instagram and I started following your journey. I see that you're doing big things. You're having conversations with people. You're always out there with a bullhorn. Tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are and what led you to here. And then we'll talk about, Q 2.0 and where you're headed.
Well, who I am, my name is Quentin Pullen. I go by Coach Q. And the reason that I go by Coach Q is because I am a strength and conditioning coach and a physical therapist. We have a wellness facility in Fayetteville on about 5 acres. And we do everything there, man. So when I say coaching, it's not just physical coaching. It's actually mindset coaching. I work with athletes, work with the general population on becoming a better versions of themselves. And so that's what I do, man. I know you've seen me in the activist space too.
Right.
And that is, I'm going to say that's part of my calling. My calling is actually helping people realize their best self, and with that comes a lot of responsibility to walking the walk, And so last year, 2025, when we had to experience the second coming of this president, man, I got even more active. The first time that I ran for office was in 2020, and I decided after 2016, the first coming, that it was time for me to get active and do more. And so in 2025, man, the first thing I popped on the net and started seeing local protests that were going to happen.
Right.
And so I showed up, introduced myself to people, and I'm the vice president of Fayette County NAACP.
Okay.
And when I told someone that, they were like, "Oh, why didn't you get up and speak?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just here to check things out."
Right.
She's like, "Oh no, we got to have you get involved because you're part of this fight." And so I joined this organization called 5051 Georgia and quickly got onto the board with them and started showing up to the different events that they were having. And then they started having me speak at these events. And I started getting more known in the community that way. But I was convinced that my voice needed to be active in the community, because if we're not talking to each other, if we're not telling people what's up with this presidency, with the policies, they've already kind of got the news where they're not really reporting on things. So we all have to be the voice that communicates with each other. And so that's kind of the space that I've been able to fill is, that space. And then my calling to run for office is, I feel strongly that if we don't get good people to run for office, then the bad people are going to continue taking over. And I don't want that to happen on my watch. I'm a dual service military veteran. So I want to make sure that I am still upholding the oath that I took and serving to my community.
There's, I guess, two kinds of people, right? There's actually maybe three, right? People who are against something, people who are for something, and people who actually do something about it.
There you go.
What you're doing is something that most people are not willing to do, because people don't realize how difficult it is and how much you're sacrificing of yourself and your family to go after something to serve others.
Yeah.
The more I talk to politicians, especially on the local level, the more I realize just how much it is of an altruistic act.
Yes.
Not for clout. God knows why you'd want to do this. It's insane to me, right? Because you can pay me enough to do this.
Right.
And I look at it. So before we go into what the future holds and what you're running for, I want to know a little bit more about the man.
Okay.
Talk to me about where you grew up, because you don't sound like you're from Georgia.
Dude, I know. I know. But I am from Southwest Atlanta.
Okay.
I grew up in the SWATs, man. I went to Thurl High School here in Southwest Atlanta. I decided to go into the military when I was in 11th grade. So I haven't really been home to Georgia since I was 18 years old. And so that's where my vernacular has changed a bit, because I was on the West Coast for most of the time. And I grew up in a very, very stable home. Southwest Atlanta, I would consider us to be, well, what I tell people is we had government cheese. So we were middle class, but we were lower middle class, right? So,
right.
But my father was a preacher, working man. I grew up in a household with two brothers, and our community, man, the things that I remember about the community was how close-knit we were. My mom had 3 boys. Her sister had 3 boys. The other sister had 2 boys. And in the neighborhood that we grew up in, it was mostly boys. So we did boy stuff. My house was the basketball court of the neighborhood. We played flag football in the street right in front of my house. So we were always that house in a community where people came to hang out with the cool people, right? And so I grew up in that kind of stable environment, but I also grew up, man, with a father that was so involved in the community, being a pastor, and so I saw this service in him, in my grandmother, and my mother's father. And so that service part came out in me. And in 11th grade, I decided that instead of me wasting my parents' money and going to college, and I had really good scores. I was on the honor roll from the time I was in elementary school till the time I graduated from high school. And so I was always a smart kid, but I figured if I went to college right out of high school, I was going to waste money because I was going to be wild. I knew, And so I told my father, I said, I don't want to waste your money, so I'm going to go into the military so that the military can pay for my schooling. And he was all for it. He said, look, we don't have the kind of money to send you to school, so you're either going to work or go to school or go into the military. And so I chose the military first. And I did my 5 years active duty in the Marine Corps.
Okay. Once
I got out of the Marine Corps, I went into the corporate world. I started working for, I think the first job that I had out of the military, I was working for Walmart Corporation. And I was traveling a lot. And this is with my first marriage. I was traveling, and my wife said to me at the time, hey, if I didn't marry you to be a single parent, so you got to figure something else out. And so I said, okay, well, cool. I think I'm going to go to school so I can get my degree. I think that'll open doors for me. And at the time that I was in college, I had to, take care of a family. I would go to college full time in the daytime, and then at night I was moonlighting doing personal training in one of the local gyms.
Gotcha.
And I found out I was good at it. And so I started building a clientele when I was in school. And I went to school right in 1998 when the tech markets were really, booming. And in 2002, the tech markets were starting to fall, And so the kids that went to school with me, they were getting out of college making $45,000 a year in California. It's nothing.
Right.
I was making more than that as a part-time personal trainer. And so I says, well, if I do this full-time, I'm going to make double. And so I never looked back. I never went and worked into those tech fields because I didn't need to. I started building a business. And I remember something that my father said to me is, when you can work for yourself and be successful at it, he goes, that's the most freedom you'll ever have. And that has stuck with me, throughout my life. And that's why I'm really focused on my business and making it be successful.
Right. And then fast forward to today. So right now you have the wellness facility on 5 acres. You're serving others. You're helping people.
Yes.
Life is good. Sounds like. You're right. From the outside.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, why did you decide, politics?
Life is good, but life can be better. I believe humans are always a work in progress. We go through these ebb and flows in life where, the times that we're dealing with right now, we dealt with them before. People don't know enough history to understand that we have. But here in America, in the 1800s, 1865 to 1877, we dealt with Reconstruction 3 times. And Reconstruction came because people were pissed that we freed the slaves, Right. And so there was this backlash from that. And it happened, if you think about that period, that's 12 years. That's 3 presidencies, right? And so these political turns, people were trying to change things back to the way they were. And so if you look at present day, people are trying to change times back to the way that they were. Let's take America back, right? And
take it back to what? They're not taking it back to the 1800s. So take it back to what period? When were they happy?
Never, right? But what they want is supremacy over others. And so they want to take it back to that point. Every single generation thinks that they're better than the past generation.
Absolutely,
right?
Sure.
And so there's always this generational pull. But the true sign of leadership is who you bring up behind you. And the current political scene has so many baby boomers hanging on to power. We even have the silent generation, 80-year-olds, right, that don't know how to get on TikTok, don't know how to work a computer, but they want to tell you about how you should be in the future. So if we don't have people who are in touch with all the generations, meaning that you can relate, then we're going to continue to be stuck. I'm a mentor in the high schools here in Fayette County. And I talk to these kids, man, and I see this lapse. When I go and mentor these kids, I ask them what they want to do, but what would make them happy? What are they passionate about? And I actually had one kid that said to me, I want to make clothing. And I asked him specifically what. He says, I want to design these. He goes, I have a design for a sweatshirt that I would like to market. I says, show me the design. So he showed me the design, and I had him get into a pitch contest for his business.
Nice.
I said, because if you can pitch your business right now, I says, I will buy you a LLC so that you can actually have a business right now and start getting into that focus of your future. One of my policy positions is living wage, right? Minimum is, what is the least I can pay you, right?
Sure.
What is the least we can do, minimum, right? So no one goes out and gets a job because they just want to go have fun. They go out and get a job because they want to earn, and they want to earn a living. It's always called earn a living, right? And so I told this kid that you can create your own destiny if you start earning for yourself, if you're self-motivated to make this business successful. So I try to be influential as a mid-generational person who sees that I want to bring up the next leaders in the generations that are currently growing up. I believe that I can influence that and help with that by getting in the government and helping make policy, help create systems and help create programs for our youth and even our seniors that will create a level of comfort in life instead of always being this struggle.
Yeah, that's powerful. I want to go back to part of what you were speaking on a little earlier.
Okay.
Do you think that some of those people who want things, quote unquote, the way they were, is it because they're grasping at straws and at this point they're dying off and they're trying to hang on? It's kind of like a cornered rat. They're going to turn around and attack. Is this a last defense kind of strategy? Let's just attack and do everything we can to retake what's ours, what we've always had?
Well, there's this term called legacy, right? Legacy is not something you create when you're dead. Legacy is what you create when you're alive. And so I think that some of these people are trying to hold on to the relevance that they have or that they built for themselves. And they haven't built a strong enough legacy to move on and let somebody else live off of that legacy.
Even with all the systemic things that are set up for them to succeed.
Right. And I see this, man. This is the craziest thing. I love the NAACP because when I was growing up, it was a big part of my life. It's a 122-year-old organization. And there are a lot of older people who still have relevance and pull in that organization. And when younger people try to take over and move them in a different direction, they fight back. You can fight, but in a way that's helping to build. Time waits for no one, right?
Right.
So if you are unwilling to move forward with time, you're hanging on to this version of you, history, what you thought was great, but greatness is yet to be seen because I am of the opinion that things get better every single day, you know? And so if things have not gotten better for you, then it's time for some self-reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a very kind way of describing some of these people and their mindset. I have a few other choice words for it, but I digress.
Yeah.
What I realize in speaking with you, even this short time, is that you're not just against things, you are for certain things. So talk to me about what you're for, what office you're running for, and what you plan on changing, what you're bringing with you.
Well, I'm running for Georgia House District 68, and that's down in Fayette County. We have Fayette and South Fulton. In South Fulton, we have Fairburn, a little bit of South Fulton, Union City, and a little bit of College Park. In Fayette, we have Fayetteville, we have Tyrone, and we have some of Peachtree City. Those two counties could not be more different. You know, they could not be more different. One is a little bit more affluent than the other.
Right.
But the part of it that I see is the people part of it. And what I believe is this: if I can teach you everything that I know, but you're not me, right? I want to see you do just as good as I am. And so what I see with politics is people have this tendency to keep things close to vest. They don't want to tell you or show you.
They don't want to be replaced.
Yes. Man, there are so many good leaders out there, but they don't have the opportunity to lead because, like you said, people don't want to be replaced. What I am for is advancement. Man, when the internet came along, dial-up, right?
Yeah.
Dial-up. My father used to work for a company that he was one of the first computer programmers. He dealt with the tall mainstreams that were up to the ceiling, man. Mainframe computers.
Yeah.
And so from that advancement to a small computer that sits on your table that has more computing power, things in life are going to change and advance. And I am for advancement. And so I say this about politics and the government. The government was put in place to serve the people, period. Yes, businesses are made up of people, but in the grand scheme of things, every single policy that is passed should be for the betterment of people. And so that is what I'm for. And that's a very, very broad statement, but it fits everything. It fits everything.
I was just going to push back on that a little bit and say that is a broad statement. It sounds very noble.
Yeah.
You know, can you kind of give me some details?
If we talk about healthcare, right? If you're working in a company, you should be able to afford healthcare or be provided healthcare by the company that you're working for, because you being kept healthy is a valuable asset to a company. It takes me back to COVID. If we had affordable healthcare for everyone at that point, we would have lost a lot less people than 1 million, right?
Yeah.
So these are policies that we create in government for the people. We drive our automobiles. The reason that we have insurance is because not for that car, but for the person that's driving that car or the person you might hit if they're injured. Now, the other part of it is to make sure that the people are not taken advantage of. So companies, there used to be a time when your 5-year-old could go to work with you. They weren't learning anything in school if you had them in a factory working. So unions came along and said, hey, this is not fair. Our people need a day off. They need vacation. They should only be working 8 hours a day. These laws were created for the people. They weren't created specifically for the corporations. And let's think about the Small Business Administration. Well, I've never seen a business run itself, you know? So we have to have people in government who are willing to do what it takes to better the life of the people. And that's what I'm for.
Yeah. And you made a wonderful point a second ago. You said that when you teach everything you know, but there's still something about you. There's that X factor that makes it different because you're doing it.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that because I can teach you my sales technique. I can teach you my speech and even the way I deliver it. But there's a way I deliver that joke that if you say it, it's going to sound weird.
It's going to sound, yeah.
Right? But I still give you everything that I have. And I think that's what the difference is. Some people trying to hang on to things because they think that by lighting another, they are losing some of their own light. You don't sound like a politician. So,
you know, in the last week, you are the second person to say that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a kid that came to volunteer for my campaign. He says, man, I checked out your stuff. I Googled you. I started looking at you and I'm listening to you. He goes, you sound like one of us.
Yeah. That's a regular guy, which is why it's confused. Like, okay, what do you want to do this again?
Yeah. But I told him, I said, I am one of you. All right. Every single person that runs for office is your community member, your neighbor, you know? So why make yourself different? And there are these people who these titles get to their head. Accomplishments that I've had in my life have been many, you know, but it's never been a thing where that's what I live on now. I am about, you know, Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately, right? Well, I'm about now. I just got back from DC and we had to put down on paper what our values were. And my first value, I said, was to be present. Can you imagine in every situation that you go into, if you're present, how much more will you learn? How much closer will you get to people?
Yeah.
How much more will people remember you?
Yeah.
Because being present, man, that is so intoxicating.
We probably even should practice that starting with family.
Yes.
Being at the dinner table and not looking at our phones, talking to each other and not being on our phones, thinking about the next day or whatever else is going to happen.
Absolutely.
Which is something that we've kind of lost.
It is important for me and my wife. My daughter is 37 years old from my first marriage, but my wife now, we have dinner together every night. We generally have breakfast, brunches together because we're both entrepreneurs. So we get a chance to make our own schedules. It's important to us that we sit down and eat together every single night. And here's the other thing. We cook. We don't buy food out.
Yeah.
So when we sit down to eat, if she grabs her phone, I give her this look and I just stare at her until she looks up at me. And I'm like, can that wait? And she's like, and she tries to talk her way, but
it's
she
hard
also,
because you're both business owners.
Yes, and listen, my wife is the president of Fed Democratic Women.
Okay,
so we were in Atlanta yesterday. She was doing a PSA for the Ossoff campaign.
Okay.
And so I'm there supporting her, watching her on camera. I'm like, this is so cool that she's doing that.
Yeah.
And then she's with me in different places. And then there's weekends where she's like, hey, I'll see you later on this evening. I'll see you at dinner, whatever it might be. But we're busy, but the connection, being present with each other when we are together is one of the most important things, man. We don't go out to dinner, to restaurants and sit on our phones.
Yeah.
And I see it.
That's silly.
Have you been in a restaurant and see a couple on a
all
date?
Day, all the time, yes.
All the time.
And they're not connecting.
Like,
what's the point?
No.
I had someone once, it was so interesting. I was sitting there with my 5-year-old daughter. We went to Cracker Barrel. We were having breakfast. And it was she and I. And she has an iPad and I have my phone. And we turned them both down and we sat there and we had conversations the entire time.
Yes.
And there was an older couple that got up and walked over to us and said, what you guys are doing, I don't see anymore. It's so refreshing to see it done. And they paid for our food and left. He insisted. He said it was so beautiful. It moved him. And it was just that simple act of just seeing a father and a daughter connect, as opposed to, I could have been busy. I mean, I was, but I, purposely just made sure I was not going to look at my phone the entire time we were there.
What you can gain in that hour in the relationship between you and your daughter, whatever is coming on that phone can wait an hour for that, you know? And so when we go out to dinner with our friends group, we all put our cell phones in the center of the table. And I says, the first person to touch that thing is going to pay
that bill.
Right? And when dinner's over, we all grab our phones, but there is nothing more important than the relationships that you create. Right. Yeah. And when I say relationships that you create, it's not just your love relationships, it's your family relationships, it's your community relationships. And I think the relating part is what we're missing in our communities. And so that's what I intend as I hate the word politician. That is what I intend to bring back to our communities is relating to each other. I have a meeting this Sunday with the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
They reached out to me, hey, we like what we see from you. We would love to talk to you. And I said, that's great. You know, I will talk to anybody in the community that I'm serving, you know, because when you get elected, you're not just elected to serve Republicans or Democrats or Libertarians or
independents.
You're there to serve the community. And so what I intend to do is bridge those gaps.
Speaking of the Libertarian Party, what are maybe 2 or 3 key differences between them and Democrats and Republicans?
I love this question because there was an article that I read last year in one of our local papers, and it was an interview of the Libertarians, the Democrats, and the Republicans. And the Libertarians had answers, right? The Democrats had some answers. The Republican answers were so rehearsed, and it was that messaging that they always do. And it was like, the Democrats are this. And it's like, no, we didn't ask you about that. We asked you about you, right? So don't describe yourself by talking about someone else. What I see with the Libertarians is that they are trying to trek as close as they can to the middle of the road.
Yeah.
But
they tend to lean more right, right?
They tend to lean more right. People always talk about small government, right?
Right. I hear that a lot.
Small government. Oh, man, that's what this king is trying to do right now, is create a government so small that I'm in charge of everything, right?
Right.
I believe in a relative government. Relative government to the size of the population.
That
right?
makes sense.
Because
I've never heard that before.
You haven't?
No, I really, because I hear big government, small government. I never hear, no one ever says middle of the road government, but what you're saying makes the most sense. Relative to the people and, you know, the people that it serves.
Right? Yeah. There's no way a state like California per capita, I mean, has the biggest population in the United States.
Interesting.
You know, and so to only have 2 senators, right, is a travesty. I mean, and you go to places like Montana or Idaho that, you know, it's not that big of a place. They still got 2 senators.
Yeah.
Making all these decisions.
Geographically, they're massive, but they're they're not very populated.
Not very populated.
Yeah.
And so we have to have a relative government to the size of the population that we have. These districts should be broken down to something that's manageable enough that as your representative, I can come and talk to you, right? You can get a hold of me. You can come to my office. I can come to whatever community center, school, wherever the people are is where we should be. And if the district is so big, and Georgia's done a horrible job of gerrymandering districts so big that you can't possibly get to everyone in your district. And so fortunately for me, the District 68 is not that big. Yeah. We have about 60,000 people. I can manage that. But I want to open myself up to, hey, listen, if you want to meet at your church, if you want to come to do a town hall at a stadium in our community, let's go, let's talk. Because the only way we're going to learn how to relate to each other again, like we used to relate to each other, is to be in a position where we can just talk and hang out. Yeah. There was a time when companies would have company picnics and parties because they wanted to make sure that their people were close.
Right.
That's gone. You know, that's gone. They don't do that. They don't get bonuses anymore. It's just work, and we don't really care about you. And so I want to make sure that as an elected official, I show you, one, that I care about you, 2, that I want to see you thrive.
If you could, or maybe you have a plan for doing it, how do you get people to start putting country or their state or people above party? Because right now it seems to be party above everything else.
100%. I had this conversation today. I put up a Facebook post, and some people took it personally that the guy that wrote the essay, and I didn't write the essay, he called some of the Republicans MAGA hell dogs or something like that. And and they were like, oh, this is even a reason for us to go against your candidate because. And I said, listen, those were not my words. This was someone that was writing about an experience that they had and the fact that they're supporting my campaign. I said, that was it. But aren't you sick of all this bickering back and forth in a community? And she says, absolutely. I said, so what would you like to do to see this get better? I said, because you can't do this by sitting in front of your computer arguing with people. Yeah. You know? And so I really believe that if I'm sitting in a room or I'm sitting across from any Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, if we can have a conversation a respectful conversation, we can find some common ground. This is one of the things that I say often on this campaign trail. Every single politician that sits in front of you is going to promise you a thing called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're still at the bottom of healthcare, good schools, safe communities, and a living wage, right? So every politician is going to promise you those things. That is a given. My military side gives me this recon ability to look at my opponents' websites, and I start picking it apart, okay? They're saying the same things that I'm saying. They're just saying it in a different way and trying to make themselves seem to be more unique.
Yeah.
What the voters have to do is say, you know what? That guy is the guy that I trust that's going to go to this government and get the things done that he says he's going to do. So it's my job to convince the community that I am the right person for this job right now for this time. And this time requires a lot. I mean, driving up here, man, I drove by a couple ICE vehicles, you know?
Did you?
Yes, sir.
I've never seen one around.
Unmarked vehicles sitting in industrial areas. And why they're sitting is because a lot of immigrants work in industrial areas. And so they're trying to hem them up right there. And so I see that.
I got to fix this accent real quick, bro.
You got to start saying y'all.
Yeah, I got to fix this. Yeah.
But none of the people that I'm running against right now have any kind of military experience, right? So do you trust them that if ICE comes into your community to really have your back when it comes to keeping them off your back, you know? A lot of people like to say, well, he's a coach, right? And I say, absolutely, I'm a coach. This is what this time requires right now is a person who can make you realize your best self, who can bring people together as a team and create this atmosphere where you want to work together. Coaches bring teams together.
They do that, yeah.
They help them work as a unit together, and they keep their spirits high. What better time than to have a coach come on to the government right now? But also, what people don't realize is that my primary degree was electronics engineering. My secondary is physical therapy. So I am doing right now the thing that I'm most passionate about to earn a living. And so many people try to put you in a box because of what you do,
right? Instead
of watching what you truly do. I don't know if you heard about the incident that we had in Fayette with blackface, one of the high schools down there.
No.
Yes.
So blackface.
Yes.
So this was in Fayette High School?
It was in one of the schools in Fayette County.
Okay.
There was a school called Whitewater High School. And
apropos. You got to be making that up.
I'm dead serious. You can Google this
Whitewater
right
High
now
School.
and see it, and you're going to be like, oh my God.
Sounds scripted.
It was all over the news.
Yeah.
At one of their volleyball games, some people came and showed up, and they were completely painted black, and their faces were painted black, right? And
but why? What were they trying? These were students?
It was students and adults.
Wow.
It was like a group of 5 or 6 people. It caused an uproar because, look, yes, they have blackout games and stuff like that in football and basketball and things like that. The comments were, oh, this was a blackout game. But in a blackout game, you don't paint your face black, right? That's just kind of, especially if you're white, you don't do that, right?
Right.
And so this caused...
It's the insensitivity.
It's the insensitivity.
Because even if you were going to...
Right.
That's like you're going to the Watermelon Fest and you're lost and you're genuinely not racist and you go ask the black guy. Like, don't ask that guy. Ask anyone but the black dude where the Watermelon Fest is.
Everybody's just black.
Just because you have to have some kind of awareness, you know?
You have to have awareness, and that's the part right there. And so there's been this, and this was in August, and there's been this back and forth in the community. I spoke at the school board. We had a press conference there. And everybody was trying to come up with a resolution to this situation. And what I did was I said, okay, I'm the coordinator for this year's MLK. Why don't we get all 5 of our high schools to participate? And we're going to get these students to get up and give speeches on what Dr. King means to them. It's not just a day off for you from school. We had all 5 high schools participate. The school that had this incident, their chorus came and sang the Negro National Anthem.
No way.
Yes, sir. And people were looking at me like, how the hell did you pull that off, right?
Yeah.
All I did was ask. And I asked, and their choral director was so touched that I did.
Yeah.
She says, I understand what's going on, and we'd be happy to do this. And so everybody had a great time. There's newspaper articles about it. And so this is a thing that I was able to give the community a moment of healing, right? So we have to.
That's powerful.
But it's real. You know, I'll be 56 in March.
Yeah.
What I've learned in my time of living is that kindness rules, right? You can be kind. And I'll say this, the military taught me how to be a trained killer.
Yeah. Right? About to say.
And, you know, my wife will tell you, I have a sniper rifle at my house. So if you come on my property and you mean to do ill, you're going to get a shot, you know? But if I'm out, I talk to everyone, you know? I say hello to everyone.
Right.
I make eye contact with everyone. There's not a single person that I'm ever going to be rude to, because that's not good energy. I don't want that on my soul. I don't want that on my spirit. I just want to make sure that I'm exuding this good energy, because I believe that it's contagious. I started this movement of Be Kind in 2020 when I was running for mayor, because I was in a district that the first question that a person asked me when I qualified was, what qualifies you to be the mayor of this city? And I went, wow. I says, well, I'm a dual service veteran. I live in the city. I pay taxes here. What more do I need? The underpinnings from her was this, you're black, right?
Yeah.
But I said those things, and
so in other words, you need extra qualifications.
Yes.
Because as they always say, the old saying is you need to be twice as good.
Right.
To have half of what they have. But yeah.
But if you think about it, we elected a guy to be our president who had zero service to anything ever. Zero service, right? Everything in his life was about him. Doesn't that speak for a microcosm of this country? Who would identify with that, right?
Yeah.
So, wow, man. So how about we start getting together as a community and start doing stuff together that's meaningful, that is outside of yourself?
It sounds like, I'm not putting words in your mouth here, but I'm going to say it sounds like what's happening with the president getting elected almost needed to happen in order for us to wake up and be a better version or the best version of ourselves, so that, you know, goodness can come out of people, because there were a lot of bystanders, and there are. Still. They are. There's a lot of people who just say, you know, look, I'm just going to live my life and do what I got to do, put my head down and go to work. There's nothing I can do about any of this.
Right.
And then there's you, right? And people like yourself. And there are a lot of other people like you. Fortunately, I see a lot of them out there just doing the work, even if they're not running for office or don't hold an elected post. But you know, when something bad happens and you go, it's happening for a reason, and you know that eventually you'll see it.
Right.
I'm wondering if this is what this country needed. I mean, it's a hell of a punch in the gut, but is this what we needed in order for us to not just be about self anymore? Because when you're looking at the treatment of certain people, you go, I can't stand there and just watch this.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I tend to believe, and not everyone in my circle agrees with me, that people are inherently good.
I believe that. I don't believe that people are, like you said,
the majority
bad.
at least, right?
Right. And so when you look at the percentages of people who still support that, it's getting lower and lower, though.
But even that number, I'm still going, wait, what? How?
Right. But more people didn't vote in the last election than did vote. So that means that most people in this country were fed up with our political system.
Yeah.
And we need politicians to make you feel encouraged by our political system. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to work for the people. You know, there is not a single selfish reason for me to be running for office right now. Like I really could be focusing on my business and building my business. Correct. But I feel like I can't really build this business the way it needs to be if the community that I'm serving is suffering.
Yeah.
You know? What I do for myself,
you want everyone else to have.
I want everyone else to have those things.
So I want to ask about that, right? Because there is a hierarchy in government, right? I'm going to say the head of the state is going to be the governor, and it kind of goes down from there, right?
Right.
For the layman, like myself, I don't know what a state representative does. What are your functions? What will you do? What sort of power will you have? And how are you going to impact your district and the state?
So the coolest thing, one of the state representatives said this to me before, and she says, Q, a state representative balances the budget. And I was like, that's not it. She goes, no, it's not it, but we create policy, but it has to be in a balanced budget, right? So in the state house, they have all these committees. That's how a bill starts. A bill starts in committee. So if you have a person that says, hey, I want to have a Whole Foods bill, right? Well, you go to the Committee for Health and Wellness, Health and Well-being, and you start talking about this bill. You get that bill written in that committee, and then the committee will vote to pass that bill to the House floor for a vote, right?
Okay.
Once that bill goes to the House floor, I mean, it comes with the appropriations, with money, how much it's going to cost for this. Once it goes to the House floor, then if the House approves it, it goes to the Senate, right? And the Senate says, okay, cool, we're going to approve this. And if the Senate approves it, then it goes to the governor, and the governor says, well, we're going to make that law, right?
Gotcha.
Right. So it's that. I know it sounds simple, but it's a lot of complexities in committee because you really have to figure out what it's going to cost,
right,
or what you're going to cut somewhere else to make this fit into the budget that you have. I think the GDP in Georgia is like $800 and something billion.
Billion?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And with that, we still don't have health care for our people, right?
Yeah.
We're talking right now about the fact that we have a $16 billion surplus, right?
A surplus.
$16 billion surplus.
So we're not doing so bad.
We're not doing so bad, but that money, it came from some of the COVID stuff that we took from the government that they didn't give to the people, that they didn't expand Medicaid and Medicare for people to have health care. We have this money sitting there right now, and we're cutting education.
The argument's always been, and I've heard this from a libertarian actually, when people like yourself, Democrats, other politicians, regardless of political leaning, when they say healthcare is a right, it's a privilege, because by saying it's a right, you have to force someone to provide this healthcare. So you can't force a person to provide it. Someone has to pay for it. So it's only a privilege, never a right. How do you manage that debate?
One of the posts that I put up on my social media was that healthcare is a right. And I'm getting this argument, the same that you just said about, well, it's a privilege when, we all they have to pay for their own, right?
It has to be a provider, the doctor, or nurse, etc.
So people never complain about the police department, the military. These are all things that we're paying taxes for, right?
Right.
So how about if, as a citizen of the United States, if we want things, people never complain about the roads that they drive on, but what pays for that? It's not some private person doing that. We're all putting our money in a pot.
Yeah.
And we're saying, what is a priority to me? If healthcare is not a priority, if education is not a priority, then what is? If other countries in the world that are less affluent than we are can afford to educate their people, and provide them some type of healthcare so that they're not in debt. We have the highest percentage of debt than any other country in the world just because we won't give people healthcare.
He's saying the reason we have the debt is so high is because we won't give people health care?
We have the most amount of healthcare debt.
Gotcha. Okay.
In the world.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no other country that comes close to the United States healthcare debt and education debt.
Interesting. Right? Yeah.
So the two things that we ought to be providing for people to have our country thrive, we're just not doing. So that's basically telling our countrymen, I don't care if you're sick and I don't care if you're educated, I just don't want to pay for you. So I really believe that we have to have someone. Man, there hasn't been a leader like Martin Luther King since him. Right?
There are no leaders. Are there? Keep me honest here. Because my wife and I had the discussion the other day and we said, there is no central hub from where we need to pull. For example, if we're going to decide as a community, this is what we're doing, we're going to boycott this company, for example. Where do we get the news from? Who's putting it out there? Who's the leader who makes a decision based on rationale, based on just having good intentions, and based on elevating us as a whole? That doesn't exist.
So the media has been corporatized, right, to serve the interests of corporations.
Correct.
So they're not going to give you the information that's going to go against the corporation that they serve. So the independent media now is becoming a lot more important.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are putting this information out there.
Yeah.
There's been a call for a general strike, but it hasn't reached far enough. But look what's happening now. The kids are walking out of school, but that's not on the news. You can see that on social media. Kids are fighting back now. And the last time something happened like this was Vietnam.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged that we can absolutely turn things around. And the leaders that are out there waiting in the wings have been ostracized by political parties because the political parties have been supported by the dollar.
Right? Exactly.
Barack Obama was a transitional type leader.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched an interview where he said he left the bullet holes in the White House because it was a reminder of how people felt about his presidency, right? Mm-hmm. Those were not things that everyday average people talked about. What we heard from the mainstream media was the message that was coming from the right and from the people who wanted Reconstruction, again, was this president was the worst president we've had, right?
Right.
And they're still saying that because they're trying to destroy our black idols and our black icons and make it seem like we didn't really have this transitional change period in this country, but we did.
Yeah.
I understand that he is not willing to put his life on the line anymore like that.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, bro, you had to.
It's a hell of an ask.
It is.
Right?
It is a big ask. I watched the last video that Dr. King did before his assassination.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm not afraid." He knew that those threats were there.
It's eerie watching it because you can tell that he knew it was coming.
He knew it was coming. Right?
And soon, not eventually. You're like, I know this is about to happen. Yeah.
And I say this from my military side. I committed myself to giving up my life for this country.
You take that oath very seriously?
I take it very seriously. And in this present time, I think to myself, what would I do right now to fight for this country? And I would do it every single time over and over again. I told my wife, I don't generally carry my weapon with me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trained how to use it. And if I feel like my life is being threatened, I will use it.
Right.
You know? We were having this conversation about how these ICE agents are dragging people out of their cars and things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, Georgia's an open carry state.
Correct.
If you roll up on my vehicle, I'm going to say, listen, I do have a weapon. Here's who I am, and I'm going home. That's all I should have to say.
Right.
The person that tries to snatch me out of my vehicle is going to have hell to pay, you know? I'm sorry because I'm not going to lose my life for somebody's ego.
Right.
You know? I couldn't ever see someone in the community being treated that way and not do something.
And not do something, right.
Yeah. Man, that's a heavy charge, you know, to be willing.
You know, those who are currently favored by the system as it is, when they remain silent, I think it was Dr. King who said it.
Yes.
They are just as guilty.
Just as guilty, yeah.
Because they remain silent. And if you can do something about an injustice, then you do it.
Then you do it, right, yeah.
I want to ask you about, you said something earlier about you didn't like to be labeled as a politician. The etymology of the word politician itself, inherently, it's good. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
So what is that for? Just for my own edification.
A politician is a person who understands and intends to enact laws in the government to help the people. Constitution for the people, by the people, right? You're supposed to be savvy enough to help create politician, right? Mm-hmm. Create policy that is going to be good for the people. The word has been bastardized because every single person that wants to control you talks badly about the thing that they want to blame for controlling what's the narrative, right?
Yeah.
So there's these anti-government people that are out there, and they're the small government people that government should be out of my business. But if there's a natural disaster, please help me,
Please help me, yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. You can't have the government out of your business, but need the government's help. Our farm industry, they've taken so many subsidies.
You're right.
The government has built these businesses to be successful, and they're still taking money, but them same people are like anti-government, right? It's like, make it make sense to me, right? And so, but they're quick to call people of color welfare queens and welfare this, right?
Yeah.
I personally believe that a nation should have a safety net for its citizens. If you lived in a community here, and I know in my neighborhood that I grew up in, if a person lost their job, my mom, hey, do you guys need food today? Right?
Yeah.
Can I watch the kids for you while you go on your interview or go do this? Mm-hmm. These were different times, man. And I can't put my finger on how that changed, except for the fact that we started disassociating with each other.
Right.
not trusting each other. But we have so much more information and so much more of a means to connect.
It's because of anti-social media.
I think it's anti-socialism, period, right?
Yeah.
I think that we don't turn the TV off, like Kendrick Lamar says, right? Turn the TV off and actually go see each other, go talk to each other, man.
Yeah.
You know, UK just passed a law that if your politicians lie to you, they lose their job. That is freaking awesome.
That's fantastic.
You know, it's like you're lying, you're fired, right?
Right.
If you go to your job right now and lie to your boss, what's going to happen?
Correct. You wouldn't have it anymore.
You wouldn't have it anymore. But we got the biggest boss
Right.
lying to everybody, right? And the politicians that are following that. Listen,
The thing is, no one believes it. You know,
but there are people that believe it. There are people that believe it. They believe it wholeheartedly. You know,
ready to take up arms and
yes, over it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the same people. People are coming across our borders illegally. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Amnesty, right? It's a law. What you're saying is I don't want that part of the law.
Correct.
Right? But it is legal for them to do this. And so your heart won't allow you to care enough for a person because someone told you that they're taking your job. But these people are coming over here doing
The jobs you don't want.
that people won't do.
Correct.
Dude, I tell people one of the best experience in my life was the fact that I lived in California, and I lived in California in a very, very conservative red district, right? The gym that I went into work every single day for about 15 years there were real estate investors, and so I would listen to these conversations that they were having. Sometimes I would snap back at them, but I was absorbing.
Right.
How do you manage money? What's the stock market? What do I need to invest in for my long term, right? I would pick up these things from them because I was like, okay, well, I didn't learn that as a kid.
Yeah.
I did not learn how to manage money as a kid. My dad would just tell me, save your money. And then do what? I mean, you put your money in a regular bank account with 3% interest, 2% interest.
You're not getting 3 or 2% unless you have a lot more than what most people have in the bank.
Right. You know? And so where is that going to lead me in 20, 30, 40 years?
Yeah.
I just started learning cryptocurrency because I'm like, okay, well, I see where this is going. I told my financial advisor that they were going to pass that cryptocurrency law last year, and they did. And he goes, oh, man, that's going to go away. I said, no, it's not. It's here, right?
Right.
And so that old mindset is that it was going to go away. And a lot of them people now are like scrambling to try to find out how to invest in cryptocurrency because it's here to stay.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
And so learning that kind of stuff, teaching our kids those kinds of things is going to set them up nicely in the future. We need to leave this earth better than when we found it.
Is that your tagline?
That's not my tagline, but that is my
your motto.
mission.
Yeah.
That's my mission in
I know
life.
it's Q for the people.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask, what is it that you're most proud of?
Ooh.
I mean, it's an extensive career.
Yeah.
You're a very young 56-year-old. You're running for office, and I'm pretty sure your political career is going to keep climbing. So, but out of everything that you've done,
Most proud of. Good Lord.
what are you most proud of?
I've never even thought about this. But I'm going to turn this to what I said about my first value about being present. I am most proud of where I sit right now. My wife is one of the most fantastic people that I know in the world. When I'm driving home to see her, I'm so damn happy, you know?
That's cool.
When I wake up in the morning, look over here, I'm so happy, all right? When we're hanging out, I'm happy. When I have clients that come into my gym and are there to work with me, I'm happy, you know? When I go for a walk in the woods, I'm happy, you know? I am happy about the decisions I've made in my life that led me to this point. I think that I am going to grow even more. I'm not afraid of death, you know? I believe that the work that I've done in my life to this point, if I were to die tomorrow, I think there's going to be a lot of people at my funeral that are going to say nice things about me. And I think some of those people will miss me, you know? And so I'm happy that I get up every morning, I breathe.
Yeah.
I think, I learn, you know? And so I know it sounds like kind of polyamorous, but it's the simplest thing, to be present in the moment. I try my damnedest to not think about yesterday, because I can't go back and change that.
Right.
I try my best to not think about tomorrow because it's not here yet. So what I have is right now.
Right.
Everything that I have is right now, because if I leave here today and have a car accident, that's it. I don't get to do anything else. And everything that I've done up to that point, I can go, cool, this was cool, you know?
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my mother, and I said, the one thing that I ask God is to not let me die on my back. And that is, I watched my father die on his back, you know? He had lung cancer and brain cancer.
Yeah.
And so the last 2.5 months of his life, he laid in a bed.
Yeah. So you'd rather have something unexpected, sudden.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
I'm kind of like that too. I don't, I agree with you. I don't think that I want to sit there or lay there and kind of wither away, you know?
Right. Because you're now reflecting what you could have done, what you should have done, whatever. I just want to gone. Right?
Well, I was going to ask another question, but now it's a moot point because you've alluded to the fact that every decision you've made, every thought you've had, and led you to who you are today, and that's something that you're very, very proud of. So
even the bad stuff.
Exactly. No, I agree
the bad
with that.
stuff. I look, when I met my wife, she says, we started seeing each other at the right time. She goes, because you were a hoe. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Yeah. Who told you that? That's funny.
But she would, after my first divorce, my wife would see me. Her boss was a friend of mine. And so she would see me at his parties. And every time I was with a different girl, you know? And what she tells this story. She says, I used to think that those were all his girlfriends and they were all cute girls. And she's like, you know, she says, but I found out that a lot of them were just his friends.
Right.
And I said, yeah, they were just friends. I said, because I went through a period of, you know, slinging it around and things like that. But in my later years, after I would say, once I hit about 40, I started valuing intimacy.
It gets tired.
It gets tiring,
other stuff.
But conversation, man.
Not intimacy. I mean the other shit. You know,
right?
Chasing, all that nonsense.
Chasing. It gets old. Getting turned up in the club gets old.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know, here's the thing, and I love that this podcast is called the Manhood Podcast, right? Here's one of the things that men don't understand. You can have intimacy between another man, and it's not romantic intimacy. It is the fact that I'm actually sharing with you how I feel, what I think, right? And my vision, right? Those are intimate things. It's not.
Perhaps the most intimate things.
Yeah.
But I don't think we crack that safe until a certain age. We can try to teach it so that the next generation can kind of get there sooner, but I think it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, but this is a scientific fact. So as a man ages, his testosterone level starts to drop, right? And that testosterone level dropping starts to make you a lot more in tuned with your female and male side, right? Women have this innate need to be with each other. Men don't have that until they start getting to this point where it's like, you know what? I like hanging out with you. I value your conversation. I value this, right? Because otherwise, we're at the sports bar. We can care less what each other's talking about. We're watching a game. We're having a beer. We're checking out women, whatever it might be. But as you start to age, you appreciate your kids more, right?
Yeah.
And what they're doing. You appreciate your friends more. You appreciate your parents more. You know,
I thought it only had to do with my imminent mortality. I thought that's what it was. I was like, I'm saying goodbye. I have more years, you know.
Well, that's can be a part of it too, but you never know when you're going to go.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, you don't think about it until you get a certain age. When I'm 20, 30, I'm thinking I'm going to live forever. I hit 40, 41, 42, and then a bunch of friends, like people my age are having heart attacks. People are not here anymore, accidents, things like that. And you start to think, oh my goodness. And then the people who are, you know, your parents are starting to, you know, to go. So
I will be 100 with you. I don't think about death.
Yeah.
I like I said, I'm ready for it. If it happens, it happens. But I don't think about it. I told my wife, I said, what I don't want to do is I don't want to have a stroke or something like that takes away my ability to relate with her. I don't want to put that kind of burden on her.
Yeah, I agree.
You know? So like I said, I'd much rather go out quick where I'm done, you know, and let that be it. But I don't try to anticipate.
Yeah,
when my death is going to come. And here's the other thing. I come from a very religious family, and I listen to my mom saying a lot, Jesus going to take care of it. My time's going to come. I'm like, I don't think like that. I know that I got to go.
Yeah.
But I'm going to live the most quality life while I'm here. And I'm going to enjoy every single experience while I'm here so that I don't have to think about what I could have done.
Yeah.
Right? I meditate a lot. And in my meditation, I've gone really, really deep in the ability to meditate and what it looks like. And one of the coolest books I read was this guy used to be a newscaster. His name was Dan Patrick. And he wrote a book called 10% Happier.
I bought the book and I bought the app.
You haven't read it yet?
No, but I started using the app for meditation.
Yeah.
10% Happier.
Right? He talks about this process of walking meditation that he went through. He went to this place in San Francisco, and it's world-renowned. People, you can't talk for, I think it's like 10 days straight, or 14 days, something like that. But he said how much he struggled because talking was the thing he did for life, As we get older, we can appreciate silence a lot more,
So where can people find you? Where can we support you, your endeavors, your political career, etc., or even just your socials?
You can find me where I'm at. No, so the kid I told you about the other day, he said, I Googled you, right?
Yeah.
If you Google the name Quentin D. Pullen, there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that comes up. And I'm like, I Googled myself. I was like, this is cool, man.
Yeah.
And,
Spell Pullen. Spell your last name.
Pullen.
Okay.
So my political website is the letter Q, the number 4, thepeople.com.
Okay.
My business site is qthecoach.com. And it's the same thing on Instagram for both. You can find my political Instagram page, my business Instagram page. I am on TikTok under the same. And then I'm not on X. I gave that up.
Exactly.
I did not need that. But otherwise, I got the websites, I got the social medias, I got, the things. You can find me in the places doing the things, yes.
Appreciate you, man.
Bro,
Thank you so much for being here. We have a tradition on the show. So before I say thank you,
okay.
Again, it was such a pleasure having a conversation with you because I feel like we've gone into, and I could go for another couple of hours because now we're starting to sidestep into what I really love to talk about, which is where I feel you might be going, spirituality and the meditation and that sort of thing, and just being on a different level.
Yes.
But that's for another day.
Absolutely.
But we do have a tradition on the show. And what I do is every time I have someone here, I ask them to read my outro notes.
Okay.
But they have to do an impression.
Tell me when you're ready.
Well, you have to tell me first who you're going to be.
Oh, I'm going to surprise you on this one.
You want to surprise us?
Yeah.
See if we can guess who it is. Go for it, man.
Hey, boy, where you going now? Please support us by following the show, man. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you next week when we share conversations surrounding issues we deal with every day. Manhood matters, man. We out.
Let's go.